Getting out and about and sucking those smells of the woods into your airways and some general activity is a great thing. But riding fire roads can become a little bit dull on occasion, which is why riding natural single track such as this is so much more involved. It raises the heart rate, it gets your body moving, and well, it's just a little bit more engaging. But how then do you create a natural trail such as this? Right, before you even begin thinking about building a trail, you must get the landowner's permission and also think about any forestry management operations happening in that area. You also need to be mindful of the sustainability of your trail. How much use is it going to get? Because trails built in the wrong places can get worn out and rutted very, very quickly. So today then, no diggers, no quarrying, no surfacing, no whacker plates or chainsaws or cappuccinos or car parks or crowds, and certainly no trail building tools that cut out roots. Now we have trail centres and bike parks worldwide which are designed for the flow and the abilities of mountain bikes. But there's actually an argument to suggest that we might need our own e-bike flow trails. Now Bosch have done this in many parts of the world, such as the Alps and also in Finale, northern Italy. And it makes total sense. So let's have a look then at trying to make our own e-bike flow trail. Now I say e-bike specific because the fire road that we're riding on at the minute is used by mountain bikers, but it is designed to be used as a harvesting route for tractors and lorries getting timber out of the wood. And so a natural single track made for an e-mountain bike is far more engaging, gives you much more of a body workout and raises your heart rate. As you can see, flat fire road, incredibly dull. You can get to the 28 kilometers an hour so quickly. Why not try some beautiful single track? Wow, how beautiful is that? Natural flowing trails with arcing turns, a bit of rock and root, plenty of dirt, and a bit of wild garlic thrown in as well. No surfacing and no predictability here. And that's just it. Some mountain bike trails can just be like natural deer, badger or fox tracks found in any woods in any part of the world. No big construction necessary. So today then, here are the tools that are going to allow you to make an engaging, technical, flowing and sustainable e-mountain bike specific trail. A BILLHOOK, a pruning saw and a lightweight alloy rake. The first tool I want to talk about is the brush hook, or commonly known as the BILLHOOK. This is a Fiskars made in Finland and it's certainly a tool you will look after. Now I mostly use this for such work as snedding, which means cutting off the small branches on the side of trees, but also I use it a lot for cutting away overgrown vegetation such as bramble or bracken. The deep dark woods, what better place than to come out with the second tool, which is the pruning saw. Why use a pruning saw? Well, it's quite simple really. It fits into your backpack quite easily. Now there's many brands on the market, Barco, Gerber, or you can actually get them from Lidl for $6.99. I think the Gerber Laplander is a great one, but the reason you should spend a bit more money on them is simply because those teeth will last a little bit longer. Now it's actually a pull saw, so and that's because they're actually normally used for branches up high, and it's easier to use a pulling action than a pushing one. The rake, a very simple tool. But nevertheless, it needs to be trail specific, believe it or not, because you shouldn't be taking tarmac rakes into the woods because they weigh a ton and you won't really do much trail building. This is my pride and joy. It's a Fiskars. It's got a steel head to it, which is detachable, and that's mounted to an aluminium handle, which is super lightweight and has got a rubber top to it, which means that when you're building in the winter months, your hands don't get freezing cold. Now, the problem with a rake is that unlike a billhook or a pruning saw is that it's pretty cumbersome and it's quite difficult to carry this on your bike, and I assume you will be carrying it on your bike because you will need to check out the flow of the trail that you're building. But there is a temptation to leave your tools in the woods, and I've done this on countless occasions. I don't really need reminding.
Oh, right, Steve. Tito will tell you, yeah? Fitness fanatic, e-bike guru, looking for sponsorship. So, me and you, many moons ago, down the pub, right? We'd had a few pints, mind, and you said to me, "Oi, Terry, I bet you can't find my tool in the forest." So, off I trotted. It was late, mind. I took a torch. Eventually, I found this after 3 days. There's the handle, look. You see the handle? Straight handle, trees growing around it, look. And then there, look. There's the head. Metal head. It's not a pick, it's oh, I know. It's a mattock. It's a mattock. So, there we are, look. There's a trail. How do you do this with it? Oh, that's it. There you go. Crack in.
Now I'm walking along a wild boar or a deer route in this woods, and I've now approached a mountain bike trail, and as you can see, it totally fits in with this environment. There's no man-made structures such as pallet jumps or berms. It's just a natural bead weaving through the woods. Right. One thing to think about is the tree cover and the soil type. How do you know about soils? Well, I suggest you read up about them. But the easy thing to understand is that soil type and tree cover are very closely interlinked. As you can see behind me is some lush bluebell woodland, which is largely beech and ash. That tends to have wetter soils than down here in the, I think this is Western Hemlock or Douglas. But as you can see, these big trees really do tend to suck out the moisture of the soil and also provide some amazing trail features such as these huge roots across the ground. Now, a lot of people profess to know about trail sustainability, and this really does rely on the traffic that your trail is going to get. Now, a lot of trail centres and bike parks spend a huge amount of money quarrying and surfacing their trails. That's simply because of the high traffic that those trails see. However, your trail in your woods should probably be a little bit lower key. But nevertheless, I absolutely believe that you should totally leave the roots alone, because this is what holds the ground together. Once you start cutting roots out and building berms, then the water gets in there, ruts the ground out, and it becomes a total nightmare visually and also to ride it as well. This trail here has been here for at least a decade, and as you can see, nothing has really changed very much. Now I'm going to show you a trail later on which has been around for 20 years and it's actually in the same condition as within a few months of when it was built. Now, if you decide to put some steep climbs into your trail, then you need to be really mindful of the underlying soil, because you don't want to be creating or ripping up the track in the winter months. So make sure it's really well consolidated, like this track here. With a great example of a conifer woods climb. As you can see, the rocks and the roots haven't been disturbed. There's not going to be much erosion taking place on that surface. I want to quickly touch on trail rotation, because it's really important that you understand and can see when your trail is getting slightly worn out. Now, this is a trail that was in use for 20 years or more, and the condition is pretty much almost back to nature, because I'm going to move down here. It is incredible how quickly nature takes back over the forest. Sticks and cones and pine needles have totally covered this track, which was a very, very high use track only 2 years ago. And as you can see, you can almost see nothing of that former track. Now, when you talk about trail sustainability, I think this is a pretty good example. Now, we actually replaced that track over there with this one here, only 12 meters away. And as you can see, this is actually getting a little bit worn out at the moment. So it's time to close this track down, make a fresh one, and let nature take over again. Be aware of the ground cover. Now, clearly it'd be very, very insensitive to build a mountain bike trail through this beautiful ground cover here of wild garlic. So what you're trying to do is build your trail during the winter months when there's no ground cover plants, and then you ride it in. So when you get to the springtime, your mountain bike trail should really be no different to a wild animal trail. The right time of year to scope out and build tracks is definitely in the winter months. Now, in the Northern Hemisphere, between December and March is a great time. The leaves are falling, you can see the lay of the land, and you can also see the shapes in the hill that you're working with. Now, as you move into the spring months, as you can see, we're only in May, and already the bramble and the bracken is starting to sprout here. And I just know that this trail will become a nightmare to maintain come the summer months. So time of year, very important. Now, certain trail centres and bike parks can be a little bit predictable in that the flow is dictated by a series of predetermined berms and jumps. Whereas a natural trail, I mean, look at this, is a mix of natural textures of rocks and roots. So trying to work out that flow really is quite exciting. Finding and designing downhill flow can be tricky. Some of the time it's simply a matter of trial and error until you find a sweet spot. On downs, I tend to look for cool corners, features, and mix it up between fast and slow, compressions, cambers, and as much rock and root as possible. But crucially, try and eke out as much of the hill as you can from the morphology. I love getting some natural features into my e-bike tracks, and either going down or, even better, going up. Whoa. Trying to design a track with the ultimate uphill flow is a much discussed subject. I've actually found that younger riders in particular live for the moment much more and really hate the boredom of forest track climbs. Now, the uphill flow will depend on how technical and physical you want your trail to be. Around my house, we're now trying to build all our climbs as technical single tracked. In fact, good tech single track will actually be a huge workout no matter what mode you ride in. So I'm now going to take you with me for a quick ride around my local woods and look at some of the tracks that have been built over the years and point out a few things. Flat Fire Road, incredibly dull. You can get to the 28 kilometers now so quickly. Why not try some beautiful single track? So this is an old deer track, wiggling in and out the trees. Wow, great. So, come and have a ride down through here. Look at those turns, just the right arc to them. A bit of a straight through the garlic. Look at those corners, how beautiful are they? Oh my God. A bit of a straight. You can see there's a bit of erosion here now. This track's been here 20 years. So probably time to move some of that. Okay guys, check this garlic out. It is absolutely unreal. Wow, look at that. Isn't that a picture? So I think this is my idea of a perfect natural trail. Okay guys, I want to give you an example of something to avoid. Now as you can see, the trail is flat here, but there's a lot of rutting taking place here, and the reason for that is that a fast piece of trail goes into a tight switchback, so there's been a lot of braking there. So if the corners were more open, then there's less likelihood for those ruts to happen. Now I'm now riding in probably my favourite type of woodland, conifer woodland. At low altitudes they do tend to be quite well drained, whereas maybe some of the high altitude woodland, conifer woodland, can become a little bit boggy. Again, look at those beautiful turns. So you see there, so again you see that rut there, not ideal, and that's because we've got a fast section coming into a super tight corner. So I could actually do with being a little bit more mellow, so people don't scrub off their speed so quickly. And just look at these corners, absolute heaven. Of course, something we've not spoken about yet on this video is something that people always talk about, and yes, you guessed it, it is this stuff. I mean, look at that loam. I mean, actually this is probably more pine needle, but you dig down in here and then, I mean, look at that. I mean, that is what a lot of mountain bikers dream about. Look at it. Oh, so you can see here just how open these corners are, and you'd be surprised how fast you can go through corners like this. And obviously that's not going to create too much break-in bumps. Wow. And like I said earlier, all these roots, I mean, just leave them all there. It's going to hold the ground together. Beautiful. So we've come here from really well drained dry ground to this, a bog. Not ideal in the slightest. And what you need to do is you need to make some kind of crossing here, because when a bike's going to go through here, obviously there's going to be some oil off the chain or some garbage is going to get into the waterways, and yeah, not so good really. So you need a bit of maybe a jump or a little pipe in there, just to avoid getting involved with that water. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of a climb. This is a deer track or a badger track. As you can see, super narrow, still got some beautiful corners in it. And this is exactly what we're trying to achieve, is create this natural bead in the woodlands. Remember to throw in some juicy sections on your uphill flow trail. It'll definitely add to the workout and also will improve your technical skills. There's no doubt that trail building is great for the soul, and the whole process from beginning through the evolution of the trail to riding is totally absorbing. It's great for you to get out with your family and scope the trails out. It's definitely a great physical workout to build, even if it's for an hour, and it's just simply so productive, and so many people get so much out of the final product. Let us know if you've been building any trails. Don't forget to follow us on social media. I've got some trail building work to do. See you later.